Hello, scholars. Welcome to the first meeting for arts, Coker, Wimberley, and Princeville schools. My name is Mr. Farrar. I will be your art teacher this year, this virtual year, since everything we'll be doing for the time being will be either recorded or over the computer. Before we really get started with the arts and me going into how to approach art and we start really looking into the projects that we'll have this year, I wanted to have a conversation with you guys on why we should have an appreciation for art and what art really is. So the big question that I've written here on the board is, what is art? You can pause the video for maybe a few seconds or maybe even like a minute and write down what you think in your own words art is. Because I really would like to know, and if you could maybe send me an email or something like that to let me know what your thoughts of what art is to you. When we look at art, we can dissect art or cut it into pieces because art is a big concept, it's a big umbrella, and it has a lot of little parts to it. When we think about art, usually we think about the visual arts. Those are the arts that involve visually what we see. So that would be art, something like this. A drawing, or maybe a painting, or maybe a piece of ceramic, or a cup or a glass or something like that. Art that we see or we generally perceive as it being art. We know it right away. So that's painting, that's drawing, that's pottery. That's basically what we think of when we think of the visual arts. But did you know there are many, many types of art? And I've written a few of those types of art down here. Music, architecture, dance, theater, fashion, pottery, painting, and drawing. Those are just a few of the many, many types of art that's out there. So then that would make you question, it might make you question when you see music, architecture, dance, and theater, and maybe fashion, what is art? So simply, I'll put the definition right here. Art is creating using skill and imagination through a medium. Now that's a lot of big words going on here, so I'll break it down to you. Creativity, and I'm pretty sure that we know what creativity means. It's to think outside of the box, it's to use our minds to make things. All right, creativity, using our skills and imagination through a medium or using things. So basically art is using things to create something beautiful that may be useful or maybe just pretty to look at. So when we talk about creativity and our imagination, those are two things that we have to work on to help them blossom. Everyone doesn't have a creative side, but you can nurture a creative side and kind of reach into your mind and pull out something creative or something imaginative. So we're gonna work on those two things, trying to be more creative and more imaginative when we do our art. We're not just gonna go for doing exactly what we see others do, but maybe try to do things or use different colors or different methods of drawing that may be different, because different is good in art especially. We want to be different. This is a very important word right here, medium, because medium means things or a thing. Medium is what you're using to create the art. That's all that medium means. So when we look at music, some people don't look at music or think of music when they think about art. but music is an art form. What are we using? What is the medium that we're using when we're creating music or making music? You can pause the video for a few seconds and think about that. What thing are we using when we are making music that would make it an art? Okay, so music utilizes or uses sounds to make art. So the medium or the thing that we're using is sound to create art. Architecture is a really big word that just means buildings. So when we think about architecture, you can think about museums, the big intricate kind of buildings that we have that house art. Or you could think of churches or cathedrals, these huge buildings that people go to worship in, that have mosaics and colored glass, which is something that we might look at later on. Architecture is buildings. So if a building can be art, what would be the medium that would be used? It would be the things that make up the building: bricks, glass, wood, iron, and metal, probably cement. So those will be mediums for architecture or buildings. Dance is another interesting art form. The medium or the thing that we're using is our own bodies in dance. So when we see people dancing, the art form is the movement, the medium is the body. Theater incorporates many different arts. It incorporates acting, which is its own art. It incorporates movement. It could be dance. It also incorporates costumes, very, very colorful sometimes costumes and intricate costumes. So theater incorporates a lot of different types of art. And with that said about costumes, fashion definitely incorporates art. So the things that we wear and how they are made is an art form in itself. Everything that we put on, the prints and the different colors that we choose to wear, the different designs of our shoes, of our jackets, of our shirts, someone had to design that. Someone had to imagine that in their mind and then bring it into fruition. They had to make it happen. So someone had to sew it, someone had to design it, someone had to bring it together for you to wear it on your bodies. Some fashion costs a lot of money, and some fashion does not cost a lot of money, but they are all art, right? Pottery, painting, and drawing are all forms of what I said, visual arts. So these are the arts that we recognize right away that it is an art form, because these are the classical ideas of visual arts, right? So now that we have an idea of what art is, let's talk about why it's important. Art, for me, is important because it helps to make our world beautiful. And that's a very important thing. If you really think about how simple things could honestly be, there's not a real need for color in a room. There's not a real need for a really pretty design in your house. But you choose to have those things around you because emotionally they make you happy. They speak to your soul and spirit, and they make life a lot more enjoyable. Also, what we'll learn about is how art documents our history. So a lot of the things that we consider art are preserved because it kind of shows how we used to live or how we live currently. So when we look at different types of older civilizations like Egypt, like Greece, like Rome, when we look at all those old things that you might have seen on the History Channel, that's a form of art that we're preserving. So art also helps us to preserve and document our history. But we'll get more into that later. But these are the reasons why art is important. Okay? So for our first meeting, when we actually do art, I want you to prepare yourself for art. Usually you'll just need a pencil. You might want to invest in something like color pencils as well, maybe paints. If some of you scholars can do the paints, then that would be cool too, to incorporate into some of the things that we're going to do this year. I look forward to working with you and you working with me and enjoying the videos that I will be posting in the future. Thank you.